Iran cannot outlast us. We're going to ensure through violence of action and our offensive capabilities and our defensive capabilities, as I said, that we set the tone and the tempo of this fight.
That is the Secretary of War this morning, day 5, and here we are. This is a war 47 years in the making, and the U.S. is taking out countless targets and leaders in their effort to, I think, bring an end to the threat of Iran and hopefully the end of this regime. Let's bring in Dr. Qanta Ahmed right now. Dr. Ahmed, what's your thoughts about where we're at right now and the president's decision to go in?
An enormously courageous decision that the president took, and I don't think there was anybody else who could take that decision. It's a high-stakes, high-risk decision with high reward, and I think he made it considered after carefully weighing up all of the options and examining Iran's behavior. I was in Israel during the 12-day war, which was waged between Iran and Israel, and have full knowledge of those ballistic missiles that they were dropping on us throughout. And Iran has shown no retreat and no contrition since then. It is very much the case that Iran is heading towards nuclear capabilities with full intention to use them against Israel. And so this was the last exit. President Trump took it.
So evidently they told our negotiators, Kushner and Witkoff, that they had enough enriched uranium for 11 bombs. And they didn't plan on doing anything about it.
I have no doubt, and we've watched this accumulate in plain view. There's been no mystery about that. And we also know that Iran had planned its entire foreign policy with the ring of fire, its proxies of Hezbollah, its proxies of Hamas and the Houthis, encircling the whole region in conflict. And now the conflict has come home to roost.
How's it being played? I know you travel extensively to the Middle East. How do these Gulf states feel about this? They've been targeted in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in Qatar, in Jordan, and in UAE. What's the reaction been?
So I was speaking to close friends in the region just a few hours ago. People are shocked. People are actually shocked at the actions of Iran. Speaking to friends in Oman, they're in particular disbelief because they were the mediators, they were neutral, they were trying to help conduct dialogue between Iran and the United States. So to my mind, it means the Gulf states did not understand who Iran was. Don't forget, I think it was March 2022, China brokered a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and Saudi Arabia is a recipient of Iranian strikes. So I think they're waking up to reality and learning about the adversary that had been training its hostilities on Israel. Finally, they're getting a taste of the same type of treatment.
I mean, Dr. Ahmed, how do you explain that they hit Turkey today? Turkey is their one, that's the one country that has not been condemning them in their actions.
Not only that, but that is a NATO ally. And so to me, it means, and even from the beginning, you can see that the Iranian regime was losing its grip on reality, the incredible violence, dismembering of Iranians, the atrocities perpetrated on 400,000 wounded Iranians, 40,000 murdered. They were already losing their grip on power. Now they're losing their sanity. They are not acting rationally. They're striking indiscriminately those that were neutral, those that were facilitators, and those that were uninvolved. And also, we have truly decapitated the regime. I was expecting that to happen in a few days. It happened on day one. And they obviously have been prepared to act relatively independently, but they're not able to act cogently. That plus the New York Times reporting that some in Iran are trying to reach the CIA to see how to quickly deconflict tells me they're in full panic.
Right. Somehow, I know we can't use the word regime change. People's eyes roll in their heads. But this regime can't stay in power. And evidently, we're going for the first tier still, and now we're going to roll into the second tier, start to kill as many as possible or immobilize them. Admiral Brad Cooper on the game plan and where we're at right now. Cut 9.
We are seeing Iran's ability to hit us and our partners is declining, while our combat power, on the other hand, is building. And my overall operational assessment is that we are ahead of our game plan. Along the way, every single branch of our military is achieving unprecedented success. I'll talk about just a few of them. Our naval forces have deployed multiple waves of cruise missiles, obliterating Iranian command and control and air defense capabilities.
He blew up their whole Navy. They got 19 ships, and the one ship was in international waters, and a submarine hit a torpedo, first time since World War II, and took it out. And now we said, when it comes to the Gulf of the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to start escorting ships and insuring them. And the markets seem to like that possibility, and they're up 300 points. Go ahead.
Even on the day of the strike, the markets had factored in that the Ayatollah was over. So I felt that the markets were very confident. And I think that's a brilliant financial move on President Trump's part. It once again will weaken Britain, which has been exceptionally disappointing in this conflict, as you've seen, because Britain is where much of the shipping insurance industry is based. So I think that's the right thing to do. It is also evident to me from the 12-day war in Israel and the combination of America's signal intelligence, Israel's extraordinary intelligence, that we are layers and layers and layers deeply into control of the events in Iran. We don't just have dominance over their airspace, but there's been years and decades going into penetrating their military structures. There are Iranian secular military forces that are opposed to the regime. This level of being able to target 40 plus Iranian leaders in one place is impossible without some inside information, not only from intelligence. So I think that we are in for many more successes in the days ahead. I do believe it's going to last for weeks, this conflict.
So when you talk about them rising up, it's very hard to do when you don't have guns or a militia. So the president evidently is interacting with the Kurds of Iran. And I have such respect for what they've been able to do. I know there's different Kurds sects, and they're not liked by the Turks, obviously, and there's rivalries. But do you think there's more upside than downside in telling the Kurds, go for it?
Well, what I will say is I know of no other fighters more valiant than the Kurdish fighters. I mean, they really are equivalent to our Israeli allies. They're extraordinary. They defeated ISIS. The Iraqi Kurds, they were absolutely almost eliminated by Saddam Hussein, and the United States created a no-fly zone. So we have Iraqi Kurdistan that is thriving until today. I go there frequently. The Iranian Kurds are similarly a very noble people. They're on the border of Iraq. They are tremendously persecuted by the Iranian regime. So the U.S. logic will be to arm the Iranian Kurds, and if they're willing, encourage them to begin holding autonomous territory and forming a kind of insurrection, which will then deplete the regime forces. Iranian regime forces will become stretched between defending themselves against the United States and Israel, trying to quell an insurrection, and that's how you get the regime to break. I would say to President Trump, please remain a loyal advocate of the Kurds. We just abandoned them in Syria, and you know how painful that was for me. I think that was the wrong move. But if the Iranian Kurds are willing, the United States has to support them, and not only transactionally, for the long term.
It would help and maybe get them a homeland once and for all. But what is your biggest worry? Because I'll tell you, the people who are plotting and planning and trying to get in Iranians' head, they feel as though we do not have endless munitions. They feel as though we're a country divided, and politics will have the president stop early if they could just withstand the barrage. That might be their game plan. What is your worry?
I in fact, feel very confident in our president. I think he really has to be commended for a man of extraordinary resolve who can withstand incredible pressure. And while we have President Trump safely at the helm, I think we're going to be very focused. You and I both know the Secretary of War well. I think he is well supported, and of course, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So I don't think we're going to waver. Yes, the oil markets and the energy markets are going to be fragile, but the United States is well prepared. We have almost 500 billion barrels in our strategic reserve. We're energy independent. Europe is going to feel the pain most because they're reliant on Qatari liquid natural gas. And maybe, Brian, I've been thinking this is a chance to actually reduce the amount of Qatari influence on the United States and Europe, which would not be a bad thing. If we succeed and remove the Iranian regime from its power, we now will be left with only one state sponsor of terrorism in that area. That would be Qatar. And I believe Qatar is going to change its stripes. It's going to realize that doesn't pay. So there's so much to gain.
There is. And no more Hamas living amongst them because Hamas is now getting a lot of attention, but there's nothing protecting them and there's nothing financing them. And Hezbollah finding that out right now as the Lebanese government want to take back Lebanon. Dr. Ahmed, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Always a privilege, Brian. Thank you.
All right, listen, we'll take a time out, but just